Kenya's foremost tourist attractions, the coastal county boasts of an expansive ocean front that stretches for kilometers. But behind the appearance of plenty, Lamu has an acute shortage of fresh drinking water. The county has slightly over 100,000 residents who rely mainly on underground aquifers and rainwater for survival. But as Elfas Lagat found out, these natural water sources are now under threat, and authorities are struggling to find new ways of quenching Lamu's thirst. Here now is part one of Tales of Lamu.
Lamu Island is no doubt a beautiful place endowed with pristine beaches and breathtaking sights. It is no wonder one of the preferred tourist destinations in the country, particularly the coastal strip. But the island has a troubling reality that dates back centuries ago. Fresh water for drinking purposes has never been enough. A few kilometers from Lamu town are remains of a city called Takwa that existed between 15th and 17th century. Takwa ruins are only accessible during the high tide.
This is a 15th century facility, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site.
There are more than 100 ruined structures here, all of them aligned to the Muslim holy city of Mecca, reflecting the rich history of this popular coastal tourist destination.
Initially, this town was a Swahili town with around 2,500 people. Mostly were Muslims, and their population was 2,500 people, and they had only 2 wells. And their main livelihood were depending on was farming and trading. Mostly they used the mangrove for trade.
The administrators of Takwa, which was designated as a Kenya National Monument in 1982,
yes,
I remember something because narrate how the life of this once bustling Swahili setting came to a screeching halt following years of excess use of its fresh water.
As we know that water is the essential thing for the life, but once the water turned to saline, they had to move to another place to find a better place for their livelihood.
Takwa was once the theater of booming commerce, driven largely by Arab traders, but it lost its allure owing to dwindling fresh water. The inhabitants were forced to move to Shela in search of precious commodity.
Baada ya watu kutoka waliamua kuchukua makao Shela, na hiyo ilitokea baada ya kuomba ruhusa kwa sultan wa Lamu, ndio wakawapatia nafasi wakaishi Shela, wakaanza kubuni maisha mapya kule Shela.
Still, the inhabitants would visit the pillar tomb twice a year to pray for rain. Takwa Island exemplified modernization more than 600 years ago for the Swahili people. That modernization brought to an irreversible end. Can you believe it?
You cannot undo it. You cannot make again an aquifer that has been contaminated by salt water. You cannot make it again fresh.
The 19 square kilometer Amu sand dunes located at Shela is what now serves the entire island. The Water Resources Authority described these dunes as the vein that holds Lamu together.
They are the only water source for Lamu Island. There's no other fresh water. Here there are no rivers.
But the sand dunes are now under a growing threat: human encroachment. Villas and other state-of-the-art buildings dot the coastline as prominent individuals here snap up pieces of real estate, living on the fringes, a population thirsty for basic need, fresh water.
They see it is better they put resort hotels here than doing conservation activities. And the assumption or the perception is that there is an alternative source for water. So if you don't normally get support from the political class, the political goodwill, always efforts becomes very difficult.
The Water Resources Authority has put up a boardwalk that cuts across the sand dunes, filtering and storing rainwater for the people of Shela and Lamu, and cutting off further encroachment.
Because we don't want any interference with the fresh water in those sand dunes. So we have been working with the community very well.
WRA Chief Executive Officer Mohammed Shurie says the authority wants Lamu Island protected through a gazette notice, but he says the process has consistently been frustrated by individuals keen on carving out sections of sand dunes for commercial use. With tourist resorts highly sought after in this part of the county.
And I'm telling you, if we were not WRA, by now the situation would have been different. But we managed now to retain, and eventually we are going to gazette the area as a protected area.
In 2019, the then water seer Simon Chelugui commissioned a 100,000-litre capacity Jabia tank here in Manda Maweni to harvest rainwater. 2 years later, we are back to see if the Jabia tank made any difference. Residents say the tank helps to a certain point, but the population living here has continued to increase, far outstripping the supply of water. The island now has close to 1,000 households, and their thirst is yet to be completely quenched.
Hii maji ilipoingia, yes, palikuwa ni at least kidogo, lakini hivyo bado.
Residents here require at least 10 jerrycans of water per day for household use and for watering the animals. The water from the Jabia has eased the pressure, but the water simply is not enough.
Nalazimika ninunue kani zingine 3 at least. Nimeone at least nimepata maji ya kujisave ile shida niko nayo hapo ndani ya nyumba.
During the dry seasons, the Jabia cannot sustain their water needs, forcing them to rely on water merchants who charge exorbitant prices. Sometimes as much as 50 shillings per jerrycan.
Mahali hapa tuko wengi. Wakati huo tulikuwa wadogo. Tukitoka hapa tuko mpaka sehemu moja, tumezunguka mpaka huko, hatuna maji.
The Water Resources Authority says availing more tanks is the ultimate solution, and the residents cannot wait.
Na tena tunaomba wahusika wazidi kutuongezea Jabia zingine ili watu wa Manda wapate maji.
At Matundoni Primary School stands this megatank. It has a capacity of 100,000 litres and is supported by multiple wells that were dug many years ago. It has proved to be a lifeline for these pupils. Local residents too are allowed to draw water from the Jabia.
Na kusema kweli umetusaidia sana. Alhamdulillah, sisi pamoja kwa tuna maji, lakini maji yamesaidia watoto sana na jamii yote.
Tutatumia maji ya visima kwa kuogea, kwa kufulia. Haya maji ya Jabia tutaweza kutumia kama maji ya kunywa.
The population of Lamu is expected to increase exponentially upon the commissioning of the Lamu Port, South Sudan, Ethiopia Transport Corridor Project, commonly referred to as LAPSET, that connects Kenya to Sudan and Ethiopia. This means that demand for fresh water will shoot up.
Looking forward into the future, we have a problem. Because the port is coming. What does that mean? A bigger population. You know, like boom.
Experts believe the solution of the water problem here lies in the proper conservation of the dunes, the construction of more Jabias, heightened water tracking, and perhaps desalination of the ocean water.
Tana River is not far away from Lamu. In the long run, water can be connected from Lamu, from Tana River. I talked about desalination is also a method that in the long run, that although it's a bit expensive, it can be also developed. The third one is now the groundwater aquifer, the Nugin that I was telling you, that it crosses all the way, comes from all the way from Tanzania down.
For now, the residents of Lamu continue to wait, one jerrycan at a time, one day at a time. Alphas Lagat, Citizen TV.
Well, great.